Some believe that the best part about baseball is that, unlike other major sports, players at nearly every height, weight, and physical stature can succeed. And while that's true, there's no doubt that a 5'6" second baseman at the plate may not provide the same amount of fear factor as a 6'5" slugger, both for the pitchers and for that pitcher's fan base. Plus, it's the sport's giants who tend to attract the most attention. This is why we're listing some of the most intimidating hitters in MLB history. Let's start with Giancarlo Stanton, who is currently considered one of baseball's most feared sluggers, intimidating pitchers with his towering 6 feet 6 inches, 245 pounds frame, and devastating power. Over 15 seasons with the Marlins and Yankees, he has compiled a 257 batting average with 429 home runs and 1,103 RBIs. His 2017 MVP season saw him demolish 59 homers, leading the National League. Stanton's combination of raw strength and bat speed generates exit velocities that routinely exceed 110 miles per hour, including the hardest hit home run in 2024, which had a 199.9 miles per hour exit velocity. Opposing managers often shift defensive alignments specifically for Stanton, and pitchers frequently work around the strike zone rather than challenge his elite power. His mere presence in the batter's box changes game strategy and creates anxiety for opposing pitchers. What might be the scariest thing about Stanton is that he isn't even the most intimidating player on his team. That distinction belongs to Aaron Judge, who boasts a 6 feet 7 inches frame and is listed as 282 pounds. The two-time AL MVP has established himself as a modern home run king, breaking the American League record with 62 homers in 2022. In 2024, he won his second MVP by unanimous vote, leading MLB in home runs and OPS while becoming the fastest MLB player to reach 300 career home runs. Judge's combination of plate discipline and raw power creates impossible situations for pitchers. They can't afford to walk him, yet challenging him often results in mammoth home runs that routinely exceed 450 feet, including a 469-foot bomb that he hit against the Kansas City Royals in early June 2025. Judge's mere presence in the lineup forces opposing managers to completely restructure their pitching game plans. While Stanton and Judge's insane size alone made them intimidating, some of the sport's most fearsome sluggers didn't need to look like giants to incite terror into opponents. There's no better example of this than Gary Sheffield, who struck fear into opposing pitchers with his menacing pre-swing bat waggle and fierce demeanor at the plate. Over 22 seasons, Sheffield compiled a .292 batting average with 509 home runs, 1,676 RBIs, and 2,689 hits. Sheffield's legendary batting stance featured a violent bat waggle that looked like a cobra ready to strike, creating psychological warfare before each pitch. The 9-time All-Star and 5-time Silver Slugger recorded 14 seasons with 20-plus homers and 8 100 RBI campaigns. Pitchers often said Sheffield's pre-pitch routine was more unnerving than facing other sluggers, as his bat movement suggested explosive violence was imminent with every swing. While Sheffield's swing looked angry, his overall demeanor couldn't compete with that of Albert Belle, who was perhaps baseball's most menacing presence at the plate, earning the nickname Mr. Freeze for his ice-cold demeanor and perpetually angry expression. Known for his taciturn personality and intimidating stature, Belle was one of the leading sluggers of his time, and in 1995 became the only player to ever hit 50 doubles and 50 home runs in a season. Over his 12-year career, Belle compiled a 295 batting average with 381 home runs and 1,239 RBIs. Belle's scowling face and intense stare made pitchers uncomfortable even before he stepped into the box. His perpetual look of barely contained rage, combined with his explosive swing, created an atmosphere of intimidation that few hitters could match. And this is why he's often called the angriest baseball player of all time. If you don't want us getting angry with you, be sure to hit that bell icon below to subscribe so that you won't miss any of our future videos. Not every hitter named Albert needs to look so angry or physically intimidating to make opposing pitchers gulp. A great example of this is with Albert Pujols, who would demolish baseballs while having a wholesome grin on his face at the plate. Quiet confidence rather than menace. Unlike other fearsome sluggers who scowled at the plate, Pujols appeared almost serene, even blissful, employing a quiet confidence rather than menace. His calm, focused demeanor masked devastating power that terrorized pitchers for over 2 decades. He finished his career with a .296 batting average, 703 home runs, 2,218 RBIs, and 3,384 hits. Pujols remains the only player in baseball history to hit 400-plus home runs in his first 10 seasons. Pujols' peaceful expression at the plate was deceptive. Pitchers knew they faced one of the greatest hitters ever, someone who could turn any mistake into a game-changing moment with effortless, joyful precision. Another St. Louis Cardinals legend whose intimidation tactics were more than what he did at the plate is Mark McGwire. His massive 6 feet 5 inches frame and colossal home runs terrorized pitchers during the steroid era. Over his 16-year career with Oakland and St. Louis, McGwire blasted 583 home runs with a 2,063 batting average and 1,414 RBIs. His iconic 1998 season saw him crush 70 home runs, breaking Roger Maris's long-standing record. McGwire's later admission of steroid use added another layer to the fear pitchers already felt facing him. His enhanced physique and towering shots that routinely cleared 500 feet, including an estimated 538-foot home run against Randy Johnson in 1997, made him appear almost superhuman at the plate. The combination of natural talent amplified by performance-enhancing drugs created a hitter so dominant that opposing pitchers often seemed resigned to their fate before beginning the at-bat. However, not every intimidating hitter from McGwire's era needed juice to inspire fear into pitchers. The perfect example of this is with Ken Griffey Jr. Over 22 seasons with the Mariners, Reds, and White Sox, Griffey Jr. compiled a .284 batting average with 630 home runs and 1,836 RBIs. Griffey's swing was so smooth and sweet that hitting home runs appeared effortless. Unlike many sluggers of his time, the kid didn't need performance-enhancing drugs to generate fear in pitchers' hearts. His pure, natural swing and incredible power made him a clean superstar during baseball's steroid era. From his first overall draft selection in 1987, Griffey was expected to be great, and he delivered everything his skills promised, proving that God-given talent was intimidating enough. Speaking of legendary left-hander hitters, Griffey Jr. may not have been the most intimidating, certainly not the most clutch, of his era. That distinction goes to Red Sox icon David Ortiz, who is better known as Big Papi. Over his 20-year career, primarily with Boston, Ortiz compiled 541 home runs, 1,768 RBIs, and a .286 batting average. His clutch gene was legendary. He hit 289 with 17 home runs in 85 postseason games, helping the Red Sox capture 3 World Series titles. Ortiz's walk-off heroics and ability to deliver in pressure situations, including a 14th-inning walk-off single in Game 5 of the 2004, which kept the Red Sox alive against the Yankees and ultimately led Boston to its first World Series championship in 86 years. During crucial moments could shift momentum and demoralize pitchers who knew they were facing one of the game's most dangerous clutch performers. While some hitters like Ortiz made their intimidating reputations off of when they delivered big hits, others made it off of where they could produce base knocks, meaning where the ball was in relation to the strike zone. And there's no better example of this than Vladimir Guerrero, who terrorized pitchers with his unorthodox approach and incredible bat-to-ball skills. The Hall of Famer finished his 16-year career with 449 home runs, 1,496 RBIs, and a .318 batting average while striking out just 993 times, remarkable for a power hitter. What made Guerrero truly intimidating was his ability to turn any pitch into a hit, regardless of location. He famously got hits off pitches that bounced in the dirt and drove in runs on balls thrown at eye level. Pitchers couldn't establish a safe zone against him, as he'd routinely golf low pitches over the fence or tomahawk high fastballs for doubles. This unpredictability made him a constant threat and one of the most difficult hitters to game plan against. Of course, now Vladdy's son, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., is striking fear into opponents with the Toronto Blue Jays and will surely deserve inclusion in this list by the time his career ends. Which other modern-day sluggers do you think will be remembered as intimidating once their careers conclude? Make sure to let us know in the comments, and leave this video a like while you're at it. Both Guerreros have a ton of swagger at the dish, which is part of what made them intimidating. However, few sluggers can claim they have as much aura as the great Reggie Jackson, dubbed Mr. October, as he was one of baseball's most intimidating hitters. Jackson combined devastating power with unmatched swagger that psychologically dominated opposing pitchers. Over his 21-year career, Jackson blasted 563 home runs, drove in 1,702 runs, and batted .262 while leading the league in strikeouts 5 times, a testament to his all-or-nothing approach. What made Jackson truly fearsome was his supreme confidence and theatrical flair. He'd admire his home runs, slowly circle the bases, and deliver memorable quotes that got under opponents' skin. His postseason heroics, including 3 consecutive World Series home runs in 1977, backed up his boastful persona. Pitchers knew they weren't just facing Jackson's powerful swing, but also his mental warfare. His cocky demeanor and clutch performances created an aura that made even the most confident hurlers second-guess themselves. Can you imagine a nickname more intimidating than the Big Hurt? Well, that's exactly what Frank Thomas was called during his big league career. Over his 19-year MLB tenure, Thomas used his massive 6 feet 5 inches, 240 pounds frame to terrorize opposing pitchers and compile 521 home runs, 1,704 RBIs, and a .301 batting average while maintaining exceptional plate discipline with 1,667 walks. His imposing presence in the batter's box was amplified by his ability to turn on any fastball and launch towering home runs that seemed to defy physics. Pitchers couldn't challenge Thomas inside without risking mammoth blasts, yet his keen eye made nibbling around the strike zone equally dangerous. The combination of his hulking stature, smooth swing mechanics, and devastating power created a psychological advantage before he even stepped into the box. His sheer size suggested raw power, and his consistent production proved that the nickname was justified. The underlying thread of this intimidating hitters list has been one thing: home runs. This is why we couldn't end this video without the 3 most legendary and therefore most intimidating sluggers in the sport's history. Hank Aaron remains one of baseball's most intimidating presences at the plate, combining raw power with remarkable consistency throughout his legendary career. Hammerin' Hank terrorized pitchers for 23 seasons, amassing 755 home runs, 2,297 RBIs, and a .305 batting average while appearing in 25 All-Star games. Aaron's smooth, effortless swing generated tremendous power, and his patient approach made him nearly impossible to fool. Aaron's reign as the all-time home run king for 33 years only amplifies his intimidating legacy. Pitchers knew that any mistake against Aaron could leave the ballpark, making every at-bat a high-stakes battle against one of the game's most feared sluggers. And who can forget the man Aaron surpassed as baseball's home run king? Babe Ruth was baseball's original boogeyman, a towering figure who single-handedly transformed the game from dead ball strategy to power-hitting spectacle. The Sultan of SWAT terrorized pitchers with his massive 714 home runs, 342 batting average, and 2,213 RBIs across 22 seasons. Ruth's intimidating presence went beyond statistics. His larger-than-life personality and called shots created psychological warfare before each at-bat. What made him even more formidable was his dual-threat capability. Before becoming a full-time hitter, Ruth posted a 2.28 ERA as a pitcher, proving he understood the game from both sides. Opposing pitchers faced not just a slugger, but baseball's most complete and intimidating force. Babe Ruth might be the most iconic baseball player of the 20th century, but he might not be the most intimidating. That distinction may be owed to a slugger you may have never heard of before. Allow us to introduce you to Josh Gibson, who stands as perhaps the most intimidating hitter in baseball history, despite being barred from MLB due to segregation. The Black Babe Ruth dominated Negro League pitching with an estimated .354 batting average and projections suggesting he hit nearly 800 home runs during his career. Witnesses described Gibson's mammoth blasts traveling distances that defied belief, with some claiming he hit balls over 500 feet regularly. His raw power was so legendary that many consider him the greatest pure power hitter the sport has ever seen, potentially superior even to Ruth or Aaron. Gibson's intimidating presence at the plate was unmatched, representing not just individual dominance, but the incredible talent denied to baseball's biggest stage. As great as he was, the unfortunate truth is that we'll never know how many bombs Gibson hit. But we do know exactly what Barry Bonds, the final player on our most intimidating hitters in MLB history list, accomplished at the dish. Bonds stands alone as the most intimidating hitter in baseball history, a force so dominant that pitchers often refuse to challenge him. His staggering 762 home runs and 2,558 walks, including an absurd 232 intentional walks in 2004, proved that opposing teams literally feared pitching to him. Bonds compiled a 298 average, 1,996 RBIs, and an otherworldly 1.051 OPS over 22 seasons. His peak years were mythical. 4 consecutive MVP awards, while teams walked him rather than risk disaster. Steroid allegations aside, no hitter has ever commanded such psychological dominance. The intentional walk statistics alone tell the story that Bonds was so intimidating that opponents preferred giving him first base rather than testing their luck against baseball's ultimate boogeyman.